Hi everyone, I am Dr. K. Professor, Department of Mathematics, K.S.Rangasamy College of Technology, Tiruchengool, Tamil Nadu, India. Today we see that the Applied Statistics course, Analysis of Variance topic. Before going the Analysis of Variance topic, I give a small introduction. What is the ANOVA? The definition of ANOVA, the analysis of variance, is a technique that will enable us to test for the significance of the difference among more than two samples. So what are the assumptions of our ANOVA? Each of samples is drawn from a normal population. The variance for the population from which samples have been drawn are equal. The variance of each value around its own grand mean should be independent for each value. These are our assumption. We have the ANOVA. We have the three type of ANOVA model is available. The first one is a one-way classification, and second model is a two-way classification, and third one is a three-way classification. These three types we have the another name also is available. The name is called the CRD, completely randomized design. The two-way classification another name is a randomized block design, and three-way classification another name is called the Latin square model. The one-way means here discuss for the only one factor. The two-way means we discuss here two factor, and three-way means here analyze the more than two factor is called the three-way classification. So now today's class we see the two-way classification model. The name another name is we know that the randomized block design. I give a small introduction. This randomized block design model, the two-way analysis of variance, is a statistical technique used to study the effect of two independent factors or classifications on a single dependent variables only. It helps in comparing several population means simultaneously and determines whether the observed difference among means are statistically significant. In two-way ANOVA, the total variance in the data is divided into variance due to a factor A or factor B, and then interaction effect and random error. This method is useful when researchers want to understand not only the individual effects of two factors but also how they interact with each other in influencing the response variable. So the main objective of randomized block design is to compare the treatments more accurately by eliminating the variation due to blocks. By controlling block to block variation, the randomized block design improves the precision of the experiment and provides more reliable results than a completely randomized design model. The randomized block design is commonly used in the agricultural experiment, industrial testing, and laboratory students, where the difference among experimental units can be grouped into blocks such as field, batches, time periods, or location. We will apply this randomized block design. So now we see the one example problem. An experiment was designed to study the performance of 4 different detergents for cleaning fuel injectors. The following cleanness reading were obtained with specially designed equipment for 12 tasks for gas distributed over 3 different models of engines. The row wise dimension for the determinant and determinant 1, determinant 2, determinant 3, determinant 4, and column wise the engine 1, engine 2, engine 3, and last is we mentioned for our total value of our row. So perform analysis of variance, the test the 0.01 level of significance where there are difference in the detergent or in the engine we analyze here. Here we see that the 3 engines and 4 detergent. So now we go to the solution. The first we assume the step number 1, there is a no significant difference between the column means as well as row. We know that our H naught means null hypothesis. The null hypothesis we define every problem there is a no significant difference, the idea. Therefore here also I selected that there is a no significant difference of our column wise and row wise. Here we know that the row wise is called the detergent and column wise is mentioned for our engines. The alternative hypothesis is we define there is a significant difference between the column as well as the rows or mean. So that is a opposite of our null hypothesis. That is called, another name is a complement of our null hypothesis is a alternative hypothesis, and we know that. So now we subtracting 50 from each figure. This is for our simplification of our value. That is a very simply we convert and easily calculate for in manual. So now the subtracting for 50 number, the first column minus 5, minus 3, minus 2, minus 8. And second column minus 7, minus 4, 0, minus 13. And third column 1, 2, 5, minus 1. The sum of the value, the first one is always all the number is negative, you write the minus 18. And second column also all values is a negative, minus 24. And third one the sum of values only the 7. So now I write the total value of row wise the minus 11 and minus 5, 3, minus 22. So now we taking the engine value. I consider the first engine x1 and second engine x2 and third engine x3. And the detergent name also I will change here, y1 variable assigned for the first detergent and second detergent y2 and third detergent y3 and fourth detergent is a y4. So now I taking the square value of x1 square. The values is minus 5, the square is 25, minus 3 square 9, minus 2 square 4, minus 8 square is a 64. And x2 square is the minus 7 square 49, minus 4 square 16, 0, the minus 13 square 169. And x3 value is in term of square, 1 square is a 1, 2 square equal to 4 and 5 square equal to 25, 1 square equal to 1. The sum of value you write there 31. So now I go to the step number 1. The previous data we assume that we have the total number of entries in the given problem is a 12. That number I define the step 1 is a n. And second step we find the determinant of t value, that number is a total value, and row total and column total definitely the ANOVA problem is equal. Therefore I write the t value equal to minus 35. And third step we determine here t square n value, that is a correction factor. That notation is a t square by n. That number is, we know that minus 35 square divided by 12. The answer will become 102.08. And step number 4, total sum of square. This is our observation, total sum of square. The formula we know that summation of x1 square plus summation of x2 square plus summation of x3 square minus correction factor. The values already we determined. The sum of x1 square value 102, sum of x2 square value 234, sum of x3 on whole square value 31 minus 102.08. We simplify this data, we got it that TSS value 264.92. So now we find step number 5, sum of squares on column. The formula is summation of x1 on whole square divided by n1 plus summation of x2 on whole square divided by n1 plus summation of x3 on whole square divided by n1 minus correction factor. The here represent to the n1 the number of elements in our each column of the given problem. Here the column is equal, therefore I write the 4 data is available, therefore I write the minus 18 square divided by 4 minus 24 square divided by 4 plus 7 square divided by 4 minus the correction factor is 102 minus 10.8. The adding these three values and subtract 102.08, the final answer sum of the square value 135.17. Now step number 6, the sum of squares on row. The summation of y1 square divided by n2 plus summation of y2 on whole square divided by n2 plus summation of y3 on whole square divided by n2 Here the fourth row is the sum of y4 on whole square divided by n2 minus correction factor. Our column values, we know that my row values is minus 11 on whole square, the first value on square divided by 3. Data is available. On each row, how many data is available, that number should divided here. Here we have only 3 values, the minus 5 on second row divided by 3. And third sum of value on third row is a 3 and divided by 3. And fourth row is a minus 22 on whole square divided by 3. Therefore, subtract minus 102.08. We simplify this entire data. 40.33 plus 8.33 plus 3 plus 161.33 minus 102.08. This entire simplify this data, adding and subtract, we got it the sum of squares on row 110.91. So now determine the sum of squares on error. The formula is sum of squares on error formula, total sum of square minus summation of sum of the squares on column minus summation of total sum of squares on row. We already determined these three values. 264.92 is the total sum of squares value minus sum of squares on column value 135.17 minus the row value sum of square row value 110.91. The final answer of sum of squares on error value is 18.84. So now the eighth step, we see the ANOVA table. We know that ANOVA table two-way classification model. The first column we represent source of variation, that is a between column, between rows, and residual, or sometimes we represent to error, and finally we write the total value. This for only our verification. So now second column we write the sum of squares value. That why already we calculation value, sum of squares on column value, sum of squares on row value, sum of squares on error value. The degree of freedom means C minus 1. That is a C means represent column. The how many columns in available in our problem? Here only the 3 columns. We have the 3 engines. Therefore 3 minus 2. And R minus 1 means number of rows. Here only the 4 detergent, that is a 4 minus 1 is a 3. And residual value of degree of freedom C minus R plus 1. The C means that number N minus C minus R plus 1 is the formula. The N means the capital N, 12 minus 3 column and 4 rows plus 1 equal to 6. The mean square value, the formula is the mean square of column means the sum of squares on column divided by C minus 1. The answer 67.585. The same model, the mean square of row means SSR divided by R minus 1. So we already calculate these two value and substitute here 36.97 for mean sum of row. The error also we calculate the SSE divided by 6. The SSE value 18.8784 divided by 6, the value 3.14. So now the variation ratio for our fifth column. Now the first determine our column wise, therefore I write the FC, and formula is, so what is the highest value of MSC or MSE? Here we see that the highest value on here the MSC value. That's why I write the MSC value and divided by that number is 67.58 divided by our error value 3.14. The answer will get the 21.52. So now compare FR value, that is a row wise our comparison. Here also we know that the higher value is our row value, that is 36.97 divided by 3.14. The answer, the row calculation value 11.77. So now we determine here the last column of sixth column, here determine the 1% level of F test 2,6, the value 10.92, and 3,6, that is a 3 means our degree of freedom 3, and the error value this 3,6. The first one 2,6 means the row column wise degree of freedom value 2 and error value 6. This is for our idea we calculating for our F test value, the second row and sixth column. and here third column and sixth row, that is for 9.78. Finally we compare here our calculation value 21.52 compared to our table value 10.92 is higher. And now also second one, the row wise also 11.77 compared to 9.78 is a higher value. Therefore finally we give the conclusion both value here column wise or row wise rejected. This is our conclusion. What is the meaning of rejected? Means there is a no significant difference between column means as well as rows mean. So therefore we accept here H1. That is a accept H1 means there is a significant difference between the column means as well as row means. This is the final conclusion of our complete randomized block design model. Thank you for watching my video.